Coming at you live from a couple of stools in the low-class studios. This is a feminist and comedian walk into a bar. I'm Justin Golak. I'm a comedian. With me, as always, feminist Jackie Manty.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey.
And I am Justin Golak, the comedian, sipping on. All right. So I'm sipping on a Tecate Light. Don't faux sip. Don't faux sip. Only real sips, or else we lose. Then it's fake. No more fake news. So I had so last episode I had some beers from Texas/New Mexico. You heard the story. I think technically they're from New Mexico. We recorded in Texas. Bought a 6-pack of different beers. It was like a make your own 6-pack when we got them. I only drank one on the air. I got 5 left. I didn't put them in the fridge. Since we got home, I didn't put them in the fridge.
Oh.
So I had nothing to drink. And then I've also been promising.
I thought I did. I guess not. I guess
You
I just
didn't.
put
You were a bad wife.
my Coca-Cola in the fridge.
It makes you a worse wife. Selfish partner. So, and then also I keep teasing them and get this seasonal beverage to make a seasonal drink for you guys.
I know.
So basically, here's what. Remember when I was like, hey, we're going to put out some bonus content for the end of November. To do it, I put myself on blast. Within the next 2 weeks, New Mexico beer, seasonal drink that I've been promising.
Oh, big goals.
Okay, well, all right, this has been the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. We are divorced now. So anyways, so I'm sipping on something boring, but the next 2 weeks, you'll have what I've been talking about. 2 new drinks, a new beer, and a new drink.
You're just extending the tease. You're drawing
But
it
now it's like, now I've put myself on blast. It's a guarantee. It's
a goal lack.
That's not bad, but I hate it because it's your idea. And whose idea was that?
You're
Jackie,
coming extra salty today.
Jackie Manty. Jackie Manty, feminist. What are you sipping on?
I don't know. Get the fuck
What are
out
you
of
sipping
here, I
on,
think.
Chica?
Topo Chico.
Ooh, see?
Yeah.
Do you like that little lead-in I gave you?
Yeah, that was cute. Chica. No, I don't like it because it was your idea. We're divorced now. Okay, so this
you
is...
can't combine them like that. Then it
sparkling-
seems less playful than I clearly intended it.
Sparkling mineral water. That's been bottled in Monterrey, Mexico since 1895. Okay, but basically, I've seen this at Tony's. I don't think I've drank it on the show yet.
Everyone's been drinking.
Well,
I see Topo Chico all around.
I always see it at Tony's, and the bottle looks fucking cool, you know? Just
cool-ass
very
bottle.
clean, kind of greenish tint with yellow branding. And, like, the font's cool. It just is totally, it looks like a cool drink. And then you said, well, no, where did we go? We were in San Antonio at this awesome restaurant called Esquire, and I got my club soda cranberry. And he's like, we don't have club soda, but we have tonic or like mineral water. I'm like,
well, he said, he's like, I can bring you a Topo Chico. And you were like, okay.
Yeah. So he brought
me,
like, he brought it to me in the bottle. And like, I basically like blended my own mocktail at the table, which was cool. And it was really good. But then, yeah, you said you had seen it everywhere. And so
see it everywhere. It's like, to me, it's like kind of like the new LaCroix.
Well,
you know how everyone was drinking LaCroix? Now I see a lot of hipsters drinking that Topo Chico.
Well, I haven't seen it yet. And like, but you know when you get a new car and then you see that car everywhere, it's like a scientific phenomenon. There's a name for it. But like,
you bring this up like at least once a week.
So?
I don't know.
So
it's like your it's like your fact. It's like your go-to. You know what? You know, I feel like a burger today. Well, you know what that's like? That's kind of like when you buy, like,
I feel like I have other facts that I use.
It's your wedge fact.
Frequently.
It's okay. Like, again, claiming that I'm super salty this week. I think everyone has a go-to fact that they're like, I call it a wedge fact. They're like excited to wedge it into convo. I think your wedge fact is your car fact.
I feel like I have others that I use more frequently. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
I mean, people have like a rotation.
But now I see it all the time. And like when we were in Texas, I went and got my nails done, and like this cool girl like had one, and I was like, now I definitely want it. And I was like, and then I was like, why do I want? Because the cool girl had it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you
no,
wanna be a
it's
cool
not.
Girl.
No, it wasn't because she looked cool. Do you know what it was? And this is how I figured out that like I'm evolving, or just getting older. Is like usually, yeah. I mean, advertising totally works on me, and like if someone cool has your stuff, like I'm more likely to be interested in it. Totally, like that. I'm not immune to that, even though like I don't want to be. susceptible to those things, and also I work in that industry. Like, I know what you're doing to me. But still, she looked like she had her shit together. That's what appealed to me. It wasn't the like that she looked cool or that she was beautiful. Like, all of those were just a symptom of like the bigger thing was that
How old was she?
she looked like 30, like my age. Like, she had her shit together. She was cleaned up. She had a Topo Chico, and was on it. And I was
And she
like,
didn't
I
need
want to
no
be on
man.
it. Yeah, she didn't need no man.
The
Except her
only
nail
Chico
guy.
I need is this Chico.
No, she didn't even look like that. She looked like she looked like a cool married woman.
Did
I
she have
don't
a
know.
ring?
I don't know. I don't look for rings.
I
I didn't
do.
have a ring, lady.
It's because you looking to fuck. Me too, though.
Mm.
All right. So this has been a feminist and comedian walking to a bar thus far. I know I said it like it was over.
And that's it. Those are our topics.
FemComPod.com. Is it good though? The Topo Chico?
Yeah, it's really good. Well, I just want. Do you have like people you see wearing stuff and you want the thing? Then is that why you have all the Kanye Yeezy shoes? The Kanye Yeezy shoes.
I do really like him, but I just really like I mean, like, to me, it has to all come together. I mean, people don't believe me. I'm just like, if these shoes didn't look cool / were comfortable, I would.
You
I'm
wouldn't
just
get
too
'em.
old. I'm too old. I'm not gonna wear an
Yeah.
uncomfortable shoe. The Yeezy is an extremely comfortable shoe. I mean, it just is. I mean, literally, I have people laugh at me when I say that. I'm like, dude, I'm not saying that me like Kanye West has nothing to do with it. I'm just saying like it's like you. I'm not of the age where that's enough for me though.
Yeah.
Like, they have to also look good and like look good adult style too. Like, I feel like, but it makes sense, right? I mean, Kanye is cool, but he's like a mid-30s, late 30s dad. Is he in his 40s yet? I mean, he's like an older guy, dad, wifed up. And
Yeah,
he's
they're
like,
the new dad shoes.
it's the new dad shoe.
You got called out for your Yeezys pretty. A lot of people in Texas loved them.
In Austin.
Yeah, they were
Like, we were in
"Oh,
Austin
sweet
for like,
Yeezys,
what,
dude."
7 hours, 8 hours, and I got like 3 or 4
Yeah,
call-outs.
you don't even get that much in Chicago.
No, that's weird, right?
Yeah.
Because you think Chicago people
Yeah,
would
you
be
think
up on it.
Chicago.
But Austin is a very hip city.
We're spending all our
Not
money
saying
on
Chicago's
rent.
not. Yeah, so I mean, that's what I was. Someone was actually asking me about that, and I broke down the pie, and I would say like it's about 25%. Like, it's a Kanye West shoe, so and it's about 25% just aesthetically. If they were nobody's shoe, if they were just like, this is a new Adidas sneaker, I'd be like, I like the way that shoe
I'm
looks.
into it. Yeah.
And because honestly, a lot of like, I get like compliments that clearly no one knows what they are. I just get a lot of compliments that are like, that's a really cool shoe. Because when people know what it is, they'll be like, oh, those are the, like, they always,
you do get a like,
they always say, but I get plenty of compliments that are just like, that's a really unique shoe. Especially when someone says unique. I'm like, you don't know. You just think. But they
That's like
like
me.
it.
That's
But the point is like,
that's a unique shoe. I like the color
but the point is
combinations.
like they like it, just like I like it. So that's 25% of them. And honestly, the other 50%, I'm 33
comfortable?
years old, is I enjoy wearing the shoe.
Yeah. Well,
So like a form of comfort / like looks good with clothing. You know, like it's just like versatile. Again, like an old man criteria. Like, I can wear this with a lot of things.
yeah, nothing about Topo Chico is convenient. I mean, it's in a glass bottle. I have to have a bottle opener to open it, and it's got to be cold.
Yeah.
So it colds my hand. But like, looking like I'm the type of woman who wakes up at 7 a.m. to do yoga and pay bills and like can do it all, makes me want to drink this drink with some hot nails.
But I agree with you though, is I guess what I'm saying.
What?
Is that just, yeah, like it's like you're kind of, yeah, like advertising. I think advertising definitely, here's what I'll say. People that say it doesn't work on me, I agree they're stupid. But I do think that like there are dumber people that it works on more.
Well, it's like being aware, right? Like, I'm aware that it's working on me. Like the face wash I just bought. I realized I bought it because I saw an ad in a magazine at Planet Fitness while I waited for you to finish your tanning sesh.
But also like but also isn't there like a thing of like I think sometimes people I don't know, it's just like this kind of dumb it's like it just like everything is nuanced, you know what I mean? And so that's more when people are like, it don't work on me. It's like, but my point is also like when I'm buying like a tennis shoe, it's like a fashion accessory. But my point is, like, I bought, like, okay, like, I have a pair of Under Armour shoes that I wear to, like, the gym and, like, when we went on our hike in Vegas. And, like, they're my, like, just, like, they're my, like, activity shoe. Like, so I'm saying, like, when I bought them, I literally Googled, like, cheap.
Activity shoe.
I just Google, like, cheap running shoe. And I was literally looking at reviews that were, like, like, oh, like, it, doesn't tear, like, doesn't tear, it's comfortable, it's durable. Like, things like things that were tactile based on usage. Now, I think it's a decent looking shoe, and obviously if it was about equal to another shoe in price and utilitarianism, I might pick the better looking shoe. That might be like a tiebreaker. And also, like, this shoe, I bought it on Amazon. It came in like 10 colors, so I picked my favorite color.
Mhm.
So, but my point is, like, people are like, oh, like, just because this person and because it looks like this. And it's like, yeah, but that's what you eat a burger because it's the cool burger. You are a dummy. But it's supposed to be.
Well, if you're eating the cool
Right?
burger, you're not a dummy. Like if it's
But
good.
if the burger, but if it's not good, or it's like the same, it's like the same burger, but it's like the cool same burger. Like, especially like when we used to live in Ohio, and it's a lot more of that, like, shit, because it's like like a big fish, small pond city. Like, there were like cool restaurants and cool bars,
Mhm.
and you'd be there and you'd be like, I don't like this bar. It's either like too crowded because it's cool, or like the beer's too expensive, or like the food's like, it's just, places or things or whatever that are like cool but not great. They might not even be bad, but they're like
Yeah,
overrated.
they've been well branded. Yeah.
And so I just don't think I'm into that. I don't know if I've ever been, but especially as I get older now.
Mhm.
And I do think there are people more susceptible to that. I call them dumber people.
I don't know if it's dumber. Definitely younger people, I think.
No. Honestly, I think younger people are probably less susceptible to that. I think they're more susceptible
Because they're
to
like,
peers.
fuck the man.
I think they're more susceptible to
Ah.
their peers, which is its own kind of influence.
Mhm.
And then that's the other kind of, like, person that's like, oh, I don't care what people think. Everyone cares what people think. Same way, like, people are like, I don't advertise no work on me. It works on everybody.
Totally.
But it's like, how much does it work, and when do you let it influence you? And to me, there's certain things where if you let it influence you, like I said, like style-based things, if you let it influence you,
yeah.
I mean, it's not really a bad thing. And also,
yeah,
like,
no, it's not bad. And I don't think it's a bad thing to like see. I feel like seeing that woman and like she looked like someone I want to be in terms of like self-actualization. That was cool. Like that feels like a motivating thing to like. Yeah, get the Topo Chico as like a treat because you're like you are getting up early to work out and do shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so
if it's
now
already
I
a
feel like
treat.
I look cool. Yeah,
But
I'm
my
not
point
gonna
is,
like
if
spend all my money on Topo Chico.
but also, if
now.
you didn't like it, would you ever buy it again?
No.
And do you like it?
Yeah, I mean it tastes like LaCroix, but without the flavoring.
Right,
but
well,
like some people
it's
don't
just
like the
sparkling
flavor. I mean, it's
water.
just fucking sparkling water, right?
I guess like the other way I'd put it too is like, and then you think of like that, but then there's other advertising. Like I think we think of that as like this kind of trickery kind of advertising, but
Mhm.
even more so, I feel like it's going away from that in a certain way,
Yeah.
where it's literally the like, I search for camping and now everything is telling me where I can buy cheap tents. But like, so again, like saying I search something on Amazon, like the first two links are like sponsored links. And I know that. Same thing about being aware. Like, I know that. Like, I just know that. I'm aware.
Mhm.
I'm not one of the people that's like, but I'm also not one of the people like they're just like a dumb, like, ooh, I'm a sheep. Where's the fucking hay? Or what the fuck ever. Like I'm somewhere in the middle. I think higher middle, to be honest. But the point is like, I know they're sponsored, but
Yeah.
if those sponsored links look like what I want, they have 4.5 or 5 stars, and they're affordable, then again, like advertising worked, but it worked by saying like, do you want, this seems like what you want. Do you want it? Like, it's not like it's the coolest tent.
Totally.
So
I think that the internet has democratized advertising in that way where like you need to create value for the customer and like know your customer, know what they want versus you determining
Right.
the brand
and so,
determining.
So here's what I
is
would
cool,
say.
exactly.
Here's what I would say. This will be my cap end to this because this isn't even a topic. This is our new thing, the long intro.
I like it though. I
It's
think
decent.
it's cool.
It's decent. But like my point is I think that a good version of them, what they mean is, and I think
Yeah.
better people would say
They mean
here's
something.
what I'll say. I don't think that cool based advertising on things that I don't care if they're cool or not, which are a lot of things, kind of for me,
Like
but also as through I
toothpaste.
age, like that doesn't work on me. You know, toothpaste is a good one. Like they always, it's like toothpaste has just become like beer. Like you're gonna brush your teeth with this, and then you're gonna meet someone to smooch on the subway. Like toothpaste advertisements have just become smooching
We did just
advertisements,
see that ad, yeah,
right?
where they're
They're
smiling
all
at each
that.
other.
They're like, be ready to smooch, and if you're gonna be ready to smooch, you need this.
No, just prevent gingivitis. I
So
don't want
that shit, I
caries.
just roll my. That shit never works on me. It never
Yeah.
did, and I don't think that's I don't think that's me saying like I'm above anything, because like I said, like to me, cool advertising can work if it's a specific cool thing, and then I feel like it's doing its job. To me, like there is utilitarian in cool, the same way the tent. I don't know why I keep using that. I haven't bought a tent in a long time, but the same way the tent.
Do you want a tent? Has Google been in your head? It's gonna now you're gonna
I
get
know.
ads.
I haven't
for
even
tents.
searched it. It's just
I
like
know,
looking
it's
through the
just gonna
webcam.
know.
But my point is like when the tent ad is being like, this is the best tent, and then I look and go, it is a good tent, I'll get it. It worked on me, but it worked for me too. Like it's like this idea that ads are lies. It's like
Yeah.
that's also just a simplification of it. Like what's a lie? Like is promoting benefits, like putting benefits to the forefront, is that like a lie? It's not a scientific study, but it's not a lie either. So to me, like there can be an even, and so the same thing, like if jeans are trying to be like, you look cool as fuck in these jeans, like, well, that's why I buy jeans. I'm not getting tricked by it. I want function, coolness from the jeans. So if they're selling me in those ways and it's quote unquote working, well, it's also working for me because it's answering the question of what I want. But I agree, there's something in the middle where they're like, but how about toothpaste? Do you care how cool that makes you? I'm like, no, I agree that doesn't work on me, and that's not what you say. And I do agree if that does work on you, you're kind of dumb. There is like a Venn diagram where dumb people and douchebags live together, but there are things where it's like, yeah, it's just an ad, and ads are kind of like just a utilitarian function of sales delivery sometimes. They're not good, bad lies. You're not dumb, smart, or indifferent.
Right.
It's just an exchange of information in a way.
And it's information that is, there are legalities. Like you cannot make a claim as in an advertisement. Like there are huge, I mean, any corporation that I've worked with or for has huge legal departments that check everything we write because any kind of false claim, even like, oh my God, I mean, there's constant battle between copywriters. Ever can't say that. You know what I mean? Because we can't prove it.
Are there any like
you know
scientific
what I mean? I feel like
words?
there's so many. There are. I just
Like,
feel. I think that there's. Hold on. There's just a misconception that advertising is capitalist, like, you know, the fucking getting the Trojan horse into your life. But like, it's not. I mean, it's sort of. I just feel like there's personal choice involved. Like, if you're listening to this or not, like being aware, being a critical thinker, and like, yeah, knowing. I don't think all advertising is terrible.
Well, because sometimes advertising is just like about awareness, you know, like clearly there are products on the market that are good, but also like we live busy lives and we maybe already use a thing, or we don't need if we need a thing, so we need something on TV be like, hey, do you have this problem, or did you used to use this thing but you didn't think it was great, try this thing. Like that's not really, it's not working on you or not working on you, it's just like giving you information, and like companies will pay to give you that information for the chance that you pay them for a thing. But if you need the thing and the thing
Don't you
works,
want the information?
And they're selling a good thing,
and they are legally obligated to tell you as truthful as possible. You know, though, of course they'll put a spin on it, but so does magazines. You know, I mean, so do magazines, so do other articles when they are. You know, I've worked in both industries, and like, like I just feel better working in marketing because you know I'm trying to sell.
But also,
shit.
it's this thing of too, like, I mean, our product is like, I mean, we have individual pursuits, but let's just take this podcast. Like, this podcast is a product. We want to get that out in front of as many people as possible. So, I don't know if we've paid for advertising at this point. I can't think. But like, we still like do things that would be considered like promotion, let's call it. But also on the product end, the just individual like day to day of this, I mean, our focus is quality of the product, i.e. the podcast. So I think like that's something else that gets lost in advertising. Like whatever advertising is or is not doing, tricking you, not tricking you, and all that stuff, like there is still a product behind it. And I would say 8 to 9 times out of 10, it's with a company that cares about that product being quality. So what's the harm? If someone, even like I said, if worst case someone tricks you into buying a good product that helps your life, Is it like the worst thing? I
Mhm.
mean, I remember watching a documentary about advertising when I was in college because I used to be in the marketing major like my first year. And they were literally had these like big think tanks where these guys were like literally trying to like literally using like, scientific data and trying to find like what is a word we could use that will increase sales by 5%. And so it seems gross. You know what I mean? So I'm not one of those people saying like it's not a gross industry and
Yeah.
it's not weird and it's not like all right, you're in my head, but not to help the human race, but to sell a goddamn BMW. That seems kind of fucking fucked up and kind of just kind of weird and evil in its own way. But then there's this thing, but like, I mean, if the people at BMW are making a good car, I mean, if you get tricked into buying it like you don't have the funds, that's bad. But if you get tricked into buying it, i.e., like I was thinking about Mercedes, but then I got a BMW and you like the car and it's a good car, and at BMW you're trying to make the best possible vehicle, like when you factor all the things in, not just the ad as like its little island unto itself, it's not that insidious, but I get why people are scared of it. And I am for those reasons too. And sometimes people overreact. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think distancing yourself from it creates this. Then you're not knowledgeable about what is coming at you and what is. I
Just be fucking knowledgeable.
just be involved, or like don't, you know what I mean? Like don't be afraid of it, because then it's like of someone I worked with one time. She didn't have any social media presence or any like LinkedIn presence, nothing, because she's like, I don't want anyone getting my information or stealing my name or anything like that. Can't do that in this world. Guess whose information is most likely to get stolen? Hers, because she doesn't have anything you can check and verify it against. You know what I mean? Like I'm Jackie Manty, and it's here are 7 different social media
You think
accounts
in the
that verify who I am with my picture and my face, and like, I mean, granted, people's stuff can, you know, someone could start a fake page. Like if you try to distance yourself from it too much, then you're, how do you stay critically like aware of something and have that critical thought? It's like you constantly know what's happening. That's why like those words, like you're saying, like I know those words, like it's part of my job to know those words that help you or grab a customer's attention, because there's, I mean, fucking, what's the word we disrupt the market. So many voices and people coming at, I mean, you receive like 500 marketing messages a day as an individual. Like, I mean, so those words are like free, new, special edition, just for you, things like that you were putting into subject lines. Well, now you just delete it. You know what I mean? Like knowing those things, it just makes it better. But I mean, Land's End catalog, and I bought like $200 worth of.
Did you?
No, not $200.
I thought I threw out that
I
catalog.
was like,
Did you pull it
no,
out of the
this was like a month ago. It's
Oh,
when I bought
okay.
those socks that you hate and like my little gloves
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff. But like, it still works on me. Like it was like $78, but still. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because I knew.
You are a rich old
like,
bitch.
no, before
Spending $100
on
at Land's
End.
End. I got some
I
comfy
had some gloves.
socks. They're really nice.
I did. I went out with some girlfriends and I was showing them my gloves. They're like, "Damn, these are lady gloves." I was like, "I have Topo Chico also."
Got my shit together. I think I was thinking like, do you think if we had like I think if I was to have a kid, like I think if I was born today, I would just call I would just make my first name JustinGolek.com. You know?
Yeah.
Fuck the
Or like-
LinkedIn
or at
profile,
least
just
just,
like,
like,
hi, I'm
get-
JustinGolek.com.
Like, get the baby's domain name as
Yeah.
soon as it's born.
Yeah, you gotta
I mean,
register
seriously,
that
like,
with
register
the
it
social
early
security card.
Yeah.
Because if it's a common name, I mean, you might like that. Think of how good a gift would be. Because if it's a common name, you might have to pay like $5,000-$10,000 for it. If it's not a common name, there's always that chance that they break and someone scoops it up before they scoop it up. But I feel like that happens less.
Yeah,
now,
totally.
You know, because like I said, I mean, I have my name, and it's not like it's common. It's more for like, I mean, it's like way before anyone would even think like we should get that just in case he wants it.
We should just set really unrealistic expectations for our baby with the domain name, like #1 basketball player.
Do you think
ever.
that'll ever be regulated? Because I hate regulation, but it seems almost kind of like a fair thing.
Website
Like-
domain names.
Like you can't register a domain name, a proper name, unless you have that name. So if you're John Smith, you might just be fucked because there's other John Smiths. But like, just like letting just like a Ukrainian company just buy all the names
Yeah.
and
I
then
don't know.
sell
I
them out to you
remember-
for $800. It seems kind of fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question.
All right, now we're
Well, because
starting like
remember,
a whole new
Taylor,
topic.
when
We
Taylor,
got to get to
when
topic
Taylor
one.
Swift
This is
got
the last
famous,
thing.
they bought anything.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift .ne.us
Well, they
or
probably
whatever.
bought. I'm looking
Like,
at. They probably bought like
I don't even
Taylor
know
Swift
.ne is.
Y and
Right.
Taylor Swift R. They always buy like the one letter off mistake thing. You know,
Taylor Twat. Yeah.
it's not even close. You're just being
I
mean.
wonder if that's open. TaylorTwat.com.
Type it. It's got to be porn.
I'm gonna get so many weird Google ads.
It's got to be porn.
Oh, this site can't be reached.
Oh,
It's open.
that usually means it's open. All right. So we went. So topic one, we
All right,
went
yeah.
on a trip. As you guys heard about last episode, we chatted on it. We did a roadsode. So check out episode 50. The Big 5-0 was a roadsode. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Saw this story on NPR. So we went to Vegas. I think this is good. We went to Colorado, smoked weed legally. We went to Vegas, gambled legally, and smoked more weed legally. And we hit a couple casinos along the way. Did some off-track betting.
Mm-hmm.
We gambled. We did things in each state that were legal in those states, but not legal in every state, and different regulations, and blah 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 blah. So there's this new thing. New Jersey wants to basically legalize sports gambling in New Jersey. And the thing that they're coming up against now is Senator Bill Bradley from New Jersey.
Bill Bradley. No, Bill Brasky.
Bill Brasky proposed a law called the Bradley Act in 1992 that basically banned sports betting federally. And in that law, there was 4 states that were exempt because they already had sports gambling. I believe it was Delaware, Oregon, Montana, and Nevada, obviously. So those people were exempt, and every other state had a year to legalize it in the state, and if they didn't, then the ban would cover them. So as of right now, is in effect. So sports gambling can't be legalized in any state. But there's like a couple things that have come up because now New Jersey is suing because they want to make sports betting legal because they feel like they're losing money to bookies. They're losing money to these things like DraftKings, like these what they call like the same day fantasy, which is like kind of like falls in this gray area. So they're basically like losing all this money to legal variants of sports gambling and non-legal sports gambling. And we want our fucking money, so let's just legalize it, and then people could do it here. We already have casinos. All we'd have to do is open up sports books in those casinos, just like Nevada.
Yeah, this story stat said that the American Gaming Association estimates that illegal sports betting has grown to $150 billion a year market. It's huge.
For sure. And that doesn't even count again quasi-legal. Like you can bet sports online, and they're usually just companies that are based offshore, off seas. It's kind of like what happened with poker when it blew up, right? You could play poker online legally, but it was illegal, but they were, and there's issues. But anyways, so but they have this federal ban. And so it's kind of similar to what's happening with like marijuana now. It's like marijuana is still federally illegal, but some states have legalized it. Also, they're trying to kind of fight this law under constitutionality, which is, I believe, so federal law can't mandate what local resources and demand they enforce federal law. But then the federal government is arguing, they're not saying that the local and state police have to enforce the ban. They're just saying that they will enforce their own ban if New Jersey tries to do this. So it's a big kerfuffle.
So basically, New Jersey could do it, and the police don't have to enforce it. But then the feds could come in and enforce it.
Pretty much.
Okay.
But basically, if you want to look this up, I just found it on NPR. It just says New Jersey takes on major professional leagues and sports betting case. So it just came out December 3rd on NPR. So check it out because it's like just like I like
it's
all it's like a long form thing.
It's really good.
And there is like a little like audio clip from Morning Edition too. So it's worth looking into. But because it's such a big issue, I kind of just wanted to tackle kind of like how do I want to put this? Like, because I'm trying to like narrow it into like a good scope. So I was just gonna say, like, is it dumb that we nitpick vices? And kind of, I think pot is the new fucking, like the new template, and it seems like a positive template. And I think that template is if you legalize ice, I think the two things it does, and it seems like it's relatively proven with pot, is that it makes the world slightly safer because it's regulated, so you don't have these just unregulated, usually foreign markets and violent markets and gang markets. Like, you have it regulated now. There's a system in place, so not you move it out of the back alleys, you get it in the light of day, and these laws that kind of like, okay, do it, but these are the things we know that can happen, and you can't do those, and like, again, it's out in the open, so we can talk about it. So you got that, and then also you collect tax money, right? You're buying weed from your local dude in an apartment complex, like, you're not paying the government. But when we're in Colorado, we're paying like a 20% tax or whatever it is. So every joint we buy, we're paying $3 to the state of Colorado, and they use that to build roads and pay off their criminal.
How much
offense.
was that joint in Denver?
I think they were like
13
$15
each?
a piece.
Okay.
But that's why I think we end up paying like $40 total for
Mhm.
two. I don't really remember. But anyway, so I mean, it seems like that's all they're really trying to do with sports gambling. They're like, same
I
thing. Like when
know.
people
What-
argue, like people always argue with pot. Like, well, we already drink. Why not just pot? And the same thing, New Jersey being like, you can already play blackjack, you play roulette, you can play the slots, you can bet the ponies. Just let us bet on sports, and we'll get that tax money.
Mhm.
And instead of Johnny getting his legs by some mob, we'll just send a credit collector to come
What
take his fucking car or
Ju-
something,
ju-
which is brutal in its own way, but it's regulated, it's safe. Johnny can, then get a lawyer, and
it's
like
decreasing crime, right?
it's safer, and we get the tax money to the government, which I'm not saying is the safest space for your money to go, but at least it's not just going up into the air.
Right.
They give 80% of it to their criminal friends. At least you're getting 20% into the roads and schools. It's not nothing.
Mhm.
So, anyways, do you think it's dumb we nitpick vices? And what do you think about, it does seem like these floodgates
Right.
are opening. It's like pot, sports gambling. Like, are you one of those people that are like, the world's getting corrupt and we're just
Hell
becoming
no.
like these vice-based people? Or are you like, no, it's just business. It's
Nah.
fucking business.
It's business and people. Well, hold on. I have a real quick question. So, the NBA, sports teams, these huge conglomerates, are they pro gambling legalization? I couldn't tell from the article because there were two
They don't
times
really-
they talked about it, and it didn't seem they seemed sort of
I don't think they really
Unsure.
have a huge financial dog in the
Stake?
fight,
Okay.
because the point is, I guess they would say viewership might be up. If you bet on a game, you're more likely to view it.
Mhm.
But it's bet on sports already like sports.
They're
I
already
would say it's a
watching.
zero
Okay.
sum game for them. Now this is when you think of sports gambling, you think of these, albeit very rare, real things that happen where some mob guy will pay some team to shave points, or some team will throw a game or whatever. Like, it's rare, but it happens. And so a big thing for sports leagues is they want to operate. And actually, just an NBA ref recently went to jail for shaving points for some sort of criminal organization. That was like a few years ago. So it's rare, but it happens. And I think once you make it like legal and therefore like, known that there's gambling, I think they're not strongly against it, but they lean against it because like they don't want that hanging over their respective leagues, that there could be any tampering on behalf of gambling. So they'd rather just say, well, it's illegal, so we're just competing to compete.
Mm.
And honestly, that's why it's been hard for Las Vegas to get a team for so long. For a lot of people,
But they
have said
do now, right?
they just got a football team, but they've been trying to get any kind of team in any sport for a while.
What are they? The Vegas gamblers, the Vegas naked cowboys, the
They're
Vegas
just the-
renegades,
as-
the Vegas degenerates. What are they?
They're just the Raiders. They're
Oh.
moving the Raiders there.
Oh,
So.
who were the Raiders of San
Oakland.
Oakland?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Close.
Hashtag sports with Jackie. Yeah. Okay. So to answer your question, I pulled out this quote. It's funny that's your question because this quote I pulled out from the end of this article is from Bill Bradley. And he said, and it's him saying how him sort of reacting to this
And
change
just for
in states
context, if
wanting
people
to-
don't know, Bill Bradley played in the NBA for 10 years in the 60s and 70s.
Oh yeah, and you totally got to go look at this NPR article because there's a photo of him in his New York Knicks
Does
costume.
he look dreamy?
No, he
Don't
looks
call it a
or outfit.
costume.
No
Just
shit.
a
Uniform.
uniform or
I even played
jersey.
sports. I'm not stupid. I just think sports are so stupid.
But costume.
Listen, So I know I feel like I've like gotten used to saying it because it pisses people like you who are all
It
about
doesn't
sports
piss
off.
me off. I think it just sounds silly.
Listen, so Bill Bradley, this photo of him,
Bill Bradley.
he looks like, it's just funny because we've talked about how in Mad Men these men look so much older than they actually are, where like we look so much younger today, and it's because in our
Yeah.
40s and or like even in our 20s because we don't drink or smoke as heavily, and he just looks like a wild
He
manager
does look
who
old. How old is he in
he
that
looks like
picture?
the basketball manager team manager who like wanted his photo in the jersey. Like I
He
don't know, it's
does look really
1970.
himself so
Even
badly.
like look at his balding spot. Like it's fun.
I bet he like drank and smoked. That's like there was
Totally.
like it. It's just crazy level of super athletes that exist in sports.
Today.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like sleeping in like a hyperbaric chamber and like eating like only like natural proteins and like restricted carbs and like
Yeah.
any supplement that's legal and like 2 a days and like clean living and like it's just crazy too that it's like it's
Such a science
I remember a
now.
friend of mine had some joke about like rappers always want to pretend that they're like the toughest guy from the neighborhood that they came from, but it's like there's no way you're the toughest guy because you can read and like rhyme. Like
Yeah.
the toughest guy in your neighborhood is probably illiterate if you come from like a poor neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's why I always think about like these like old white guys on sports shows like he's just a thug. It's like he's like a super athlete, like the most
Right.
lazy like I don't want to practice guy is like it's like the there's no thugs in any sport. These are supreme athletes. These are like genetic freaks, and like the most irresponsible athlete has more body discipline than the most responsibly worked out, fucking ad exec. Like they're just it's just insane to me. Like you cannot be a
Or
thug or
ESPN has.
lazy or not committed if you are in a professional sports league. You
Yeah.
might just be the least committed one there, and so maybe your spot will be taken, but you are still just a freak of nature. And it is funny that like yeah, it is just funny. Like anyone from the 80s with any sort of sports record, like you wouldn't even be in like a fucking Japanese
Could you play
league
in
today.
college?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's just these guys are insane.
Okay, so at the end of the story, they are sort of getting his reaction to this repeal that this New Jersey's trying to get in this case, and he says, "This is his quote: A lot of things make money. The question is what's right and what's wrong. Do you want your children involved in betting on sports? How about Little League? How about school?" And I pulled that quote out because it made me furious. It's like, how don't you think that these things already make money and are fucking up the
All
kids?
these
Like it's
politicians.
so it just makes me so angry. I Your question was, is it okay that we pick and choose which vices are okay? Absolutely not. It makes me furious. I think that this is an example of, even that quote. It's like, I would rather have all these vices be out in the open and, like you said, regulated and taxed in a way where we can then use that money to set up. Do you know how hard it is to find a rehab center that you can go to and afford without insurance, without a trust fund, without some major Hollywood scandal that's sending you to sex rehab? Like, they're hard to find. Even AA meetings in small towns, like, it's hard to find resources to get yourself help. I mean, look at all this trouble with trying to get methadone to people. Like, if we made, I'm for making all of it legal, and like you have a personal choice, a personal responsibility to your body and what you put in your body and what you do. If you do something that is illegal while you're on that thing, you're gonna suffer the consequences. Like if you murder someone, even unintentionally while you're on that drug, like you're gonna get the death penalty. Like, we have these other laws in place here. All the information you need about this and what it can do to your body. Here are examples of it, but it's your choice. And then also, we use some of this money to create really top of the line amenities to get you help if you need it, like rehabs, like
Well, it's like
even just
I just
therapy
feel like
centers.
every casino.
Hold on. This reminds me of like when there are, look at us now. Like I would rather have. I'm like we've been listening to Howard Stern lately, and I like do not like Howard Stern. Thought I didn't, but we've been listening to him a lot together, and like he's a really great interviewer. But moreover, what has just been
That's
striking.
mostly what I
Hold on.
listen to him for.
What's been striking to me recently is like this Matt Lauer type, with all these sexual assault allegations and people getting fired left and right. Charlie Rose, people I respect in the industry who are like, no, they're shitty. At least Howard Stern is like outwardly shitty about, and I mean, not like accusing him of that. He hasn't even done that stuff. Not at least not that he's been accused of and fired from a show of. You know, I'd almost rather have it just be out in the open. Like, here's what it is. Here's the reality of it. This sort of like, you know, covering up. I just think that quote from Bill Bradley is super naive too. Like, first of all, it doesn't mean your children are
Well,
automatically going to be betting on their games.
well, Bill Bradley is a Democrat, and it's the same thing that everyone wants to pick their side and act like they're sacrosanct, but like these politicians are all fucking scumbags, and all he's fucking doing is doing the same tired thing. Let me throw this argument at you. We can't have gay marriage because then what are you going to do? You're going to marry 2 people, 3 people, you're going to marry a cow, you're going to marry a chicken. It's going to be chaos, and that's what he's doing. Oh, if we want to let adults bet on other adults all living their free lives and spending their money in their own free way with the resources to help them if it becomes a problem, what if that turns into parents betting on little league games? It's like, no, that's not going to happen.
Well, Ian, like you
the
just
same way that no one's tried to marry their cow since gay marriage has been legal, no one's going to be betting on little league sports.
that just removes the attention from. Do you know how much not crime, but like morally reprehensible things happen in children's league sports because you are trying to make your child a superstar, number one NBA player.com. You know what I mean? Like, that was kind of a callback to my earlier joke.
I got it.
Yeah. So, but like, I just feel like it's hello, Bill. Do you know what sports looks like now? There's so much going on that I just think is more morally reprehensible than betting on a little league game. You know what I mean? Like what they put kids through and how they market on just jerseys of children. You know,
but
like
I think it all comes down to like it's the same thing. Like to me, it's like, all right, again, let's take it down Bill's road. Let's say like, like there's no game. It's a Tuesday. There's no games on, but we live right across from the park. I look out my window and I see some kids like warming up. I'm like, oh, there's a little league game across the street, and I walk out and there's a couple guys, they set up a little booth and they're like, sports gambling's legal now. So we're taking money on the little tigers versus, the little horses. And I'm just like, oh, you know what? It's a beautiful day. I like cheering on kids who play baseball, cheer them on, make them feel good about themselves. You know what? Just to make it worth my time, I'll throw $10 on the little ponies. Come on, give me $10 on them. Give me a Coke. Find me a space in the stands. Like, excuse me, I'm sorry. How does that affect the game? In his worst case scenario, I'm not even saying I want that in the world. I'm saying if that's the world we live in, how does that affect the game? I guess you could say maybe my dick.
Someone could throw it, or maybe
that's the
gets
point.
in their
But
head,
again,
and then
that's a crime now. But my point is that's a crime now, and no one's asking to not make that a crime. Do you see, like, that's what happens with all these laws? That again is just dumb politicianal bullshit language that means nothing, and they have nothing interesting or intelligent to say. Like it's that whole thing. These guys are fucking scumbags. Like it's all bullshit. Nada. But listen, it's the same thing. It's like, it's the same thing. Well, if we allow people smoking weed, then they're gonna smoke weed and drive. And it's like, well, you can't do that. You've never been allowed to do that. So yeah, that's crime. We're smoke weed and then steal. Stealing's already a crime. So then arrest them if they do that. That's my point. It's like, well, if there's gambling, what if people start throwing games? Well, we've caught people doing that, and then they go to jail. Like, those are been illegal. So, yeah, and I guess there's that argument, well, it'll go up. I mean, I don't think, like, if pot's legal, no one new is smoking weed. People that smoked weed are smoking it legal. If sports gambling's legal, no one new is gambling on sports. People are just now gambling at the casino instead of texting it to their bookie. And so that's the point. It's like, if the guys that were texting in 20 minutes to their bookie weren't trying to major collegiate basketball games or major NFL football games, they're not going to start now because now they take their $20 down to the Trump Taj Mahal. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're not crying. Like, that's the idea that, like, oh, it'll go up. Crime will go up. It's like, no, because your idea is that there'll be all these new users, and not only new, but new irresponsible users. And it's insane. It's crazy. I'll never understand that logic. It defies logic. It's not logical. And I agree with your kind of theory, which is basically, again, like it's brought up all the time. It's the Portugal model, right? They were like, we have a major heroin epidemic. All right, we're going to legalize heroin, but the caveat is all the money we used to throw people in jail for heroin in the past, we take that same budgetary allotment and now we put it towards clean needles, towards rehab, towards all these other programs. And guess what? Heroin addiction down, dramatic decrease. And so that's the same thing. All these casinos, you go into a casino in Nevada. If you need help, call this. Every time you go to your website, if you need help, do this. And sure, they're mandated to do that. The point is alcohol, I'm drinking Tecate anywhere on there. Like, it has the health risk, but anywhere, like, if you have a drinking problem, call here.
Right.
And also, like, we're federally required to, fund these places. No. I mean, they have self-exclusionary program or something like that, where literally if you have a problem, you call the casino and you're like, here's my picture, here's my name. If I come into this casino, I can be arrested. And I'm putting that on myself as a deterrent. Are there any Budweisers being like, tell us your name and if we see you going into a liquor store, we'll arrest you. So it's like, to me, it's like, again, like, if they're putting towards their profits towards that, or if we as a society are taking enforcement dollars and putting it towards cure, I mean, again, this all sounds like good things. These all sound like good things. Again,
yeah, and
all of them.
And like, speaking of the little horses who I would bet for, or bet on, they, you just asked if we could bet more on the dogs, and I'm like, I don't like that because I feel like they're not taken care of. I just feel, if things were being watched a little more.
I got addicted to greyhound gambling while we were on the road.
I don't know, but wouldn't you think that maybe they'd be better taken care of, or there'd be higher standards in place if it was like a national thing? Like standards in place for taking care of these animals?
Maybe, but I think there is. I mean, I think it's sad that those animals are probably abused, but I'm sure there are regulations. I'm sure they're abused less than. What would you rather watch, a greyhound race or a dog? Which one's legal?
Greyhound.
I mean, both are legal. So it's like,
I'd rather watch the horsey little league game.
But you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I think to me, dogs running around a track is an abuse. It's what happens behind the scenes. And so when PETA wants to get involved on that end, I'm fine with that. But I don't think down helps because you already have that market. So my point is the greyhound bettors are just going to go to an illegal market. And guess what you have there? No restrictions. I mean, we argued about this on the podcast before. Legalize prostitution. I mean, who's making money off prostitution? These fucking dirtbag legalize it. And then you give them a way to report it. You give them like a channel to
tap into this, and I just don't know how I feel.
Give them a channel to report. I mean, to me, you stem the market of illegal sex trafficking, which is the most horrific thing, if you give women a legal way to get into it and men a legal way to obtain it. And also then it's legal. If you're legal and you're like, hey, I'm from Czechoslovakia, I've been stolen, they took my passport, and they beat me every night, then the cop will go, okay, well, we'll get them because those are all crimes, and what you're doing is not a crime anymore, so you don't have to be scared to be here.
Right.
And, again, if you want to talk about treatment and about gambling and, like, all those programs, then again, I don't mind if we take 20% pussy money, tax it up 20%, $50 for a blowjob now becomes $100, and 40 of that is going to the government, and we put 30 of every of those $40 towards some STEM program for girls in 6th grade. I don't give a shit.
Birth control or
whatever.
Therapy or getting rape kits tested.
Whatever.
So much. There's so
things,
much.
All those things. But that's my point is like, isn't that better? Isn't that better than just $50 to the girl in an alley, she gives 40 to her pimp, and then gets the shit slapped out of her later? What's better? And she can't go to the cops because they're going to be like, well, why do you have a pimp? Oh, you're a prostitute? Well, here's your fucking fine. Here's your 7 days in jail. Like, again, how are we making this better? I don't see, like, again, like, I think it's only beneficial to make something straight up illegal if you want to put someone in prison. And who do we want to put in prison? People stealing, people murdering, people raping. Make those things illegal because then, like, all right, you're violating the functionality norms, not the moral norms, not the mores. You're violating the social functioning norms of society by stealing, raping, and murdering. So we got to put you in jail. We got to take you out of society forever or for an amount of time where we can try to make you not like that. But with things like gambling and prostitution and drinking, it's like, all right, instead, these are not illegal, but there are certain ways you can do these that violate those functional norms, and we will jail you for those. But instead, we will regulate to make sure they're done the most safely, and when they're not, then there's a punishment. Like, it seems to make so much sense. I just don't know when saying this thing you can't has ever made society as a whole go like, all right, we're not going to do it. Because even murder being illegal doesn't stop people from murdering. It just gives us recourse to be like, all right, you're murdering, you can't be here anymore. That's why murder against the law is a good law. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Banning booze is not a good law. Getting drunk and driving where you may run into a school bus, that would be a bad thing. We got to stop that. It makes sense to me. Let's move on to topic 2.
Okay, topic 2. Let's see. I was reading an article in Wired about FOMO, fear of missing out.
I know
It's
that.
the
I'm
acronym.
cool and hip. I
For our non-hip readers who don't know that the first 2 search results in a Google search result are ads.
Listeners, not readers. Come on, it's a podcast.
Oh, did I say readers?
It's not a book. You nerd. Such a nerd.
Such a nerd.
I read up Jackie.
You guys, oh, no,
I'm
never
Justin.
mind.
I
was going
can't
to tell
read.
the funny story about how my stuff didn't get stolen because it was, like, nerdy. We had some packages delivered, and some of it got stolen, but mine was a journal/agenda called Best Self Journal. And it was open. Like, the thief had opened it and saw what it was. I was like, nah.
Not worth it.
Anyway, okay, so this article Wired was about FOMO and social-driven FOMO and how they've seen more of it since Trump has been elected, and, you know, with all the social media that's been going on and how we are more than ever. And, you know, this impulse stems from those chemical hits to your brain, which I think we knew about, right? Like that you get those chemical hits when you get something retweeted or liked, but then, you know, you also have the oh shit.
What?
Oh, you want to be part of a group, right? So like you feel like you're part of a community when you're part of these social things. But they had an interesting point about how it also could derive from a primitive behavioral instinct. So surveillance, gratification seeking are the urge that drove our cave-dwelling ancestors to poke their heads out and check for predators. In times of perceived crisis, our brains cry out for information to help survive. And they, you know, the studies like this is what you're doing when you're checking Twitter constantly for new news, and it just seems like the news cycle.
At least that's what you tell yourself you're doing.
Right, and like during this presidency, I felt that, I don't know, tell me if you disagree, but like it's felt more urgent than ever. Like it's just such.
It's felt, but it's not.
Right, I know, but like it feels like it, right? Like this is the end of America.
Not to me, to these like.
You did it last week on our podcast. You're like, it's the end of America if net neutrality happens. Like,
yeah, but I wasn't like clicking for more info because I'm like, they're either going to do it or they're not. Me reading about it's not going to help. To be honest, me calling my senator or congressman ain't going to work either.
But there were 2 studies reported in here that just basically gave paradoxical information as far as how to feel better as a human in this environment. And one was that, you know, Denmark study said that they assigned some people not to use Facebook for a week, and across a variety of metrics, it showed that those people's mood and being were better compared to those who did not take breaks. And then another strategy was research has shown that people who actively engage with social media by tweeting in response to news, commenting on stories, posting messages, joining online groups tend to be slightly happier than those who do not. I bet it's like an introvert-extrovert thing, like which one is better for you. But like my question is, in this year, you know, 2017 is almost over. Like has your the way you read news or consume news or think about news changed?
No.
No.
I think if you have news FOMO, like Jesus fucking Christ, like you know what really like cemented how I feel is I listened to the Freakonomics podcast.
Love it.
And they had about, and you should just listen to it. It's a good one about like should you listen? I can't remember what the name of the episode was, but it was basically that. It's like, are people that intake more harder, are they more well informed? And the answer is they are
neither.
Not. The answer is they are not.
They are not neither.
I know.
They are not
I don't know if they're less informed. It's just a non-factor.
Okay.
Because the point is that's what it boils down to. Like, the episode had a lot of interesting facts and a lot of interesting tidbits and a lot of interesting research, but it all boiled down to what people like me knew, that news is entertainment.
People like you know, yeah.
It's entertainment. Sports Center and CNN, they're the same thing for different interests. Are you more interested in politics or more interested in sports? But it's the same thing. You could argue that one affects your life more, but information about it doesn't.
Okay, so it's more like knowing the big picture is more important. Like, do you think that? So,
I don't think any of it's
don't think you
important.
should read the news?
I mean, I would say check in once a week, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's why I said and they're kind of like interviewing so the Freakonomics guys who are very smart, and all these other guys that are their colleagues or friends who are very smart, were all just like, yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I don't read the news.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would you if like you're trying to do? I just don't know how. I mean, again, it's like we talked about. All right, if Trump gets impeached, I don't care. Still a Republican president. And again, if you've been around on this planet for 10 years, you can extrapolate what that's going to be. And you can also extrapolate the fact that there's usually swing. Like, historically, we will have a Democrat by 2024 at the latest as the president. We just will. I bet all my money on it. Just historically, statistically speaking, it's going to happen. And then it'll swing the other way. And we always kind of stay in the middle. And then I guess, what are you hoping for? Well, what if we get nuclear bombs? Well, then you'll fucking know. And if it's bad enough, then the news won't matter. It'll just matter how many people you can keep away from your apartment with that shot. I mean, it's like.
So then you will have wished that you spent your time on the range practicing.
Yeah, but again, I just don't know the news thing. Like.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like there are on like well-being and talks, you know, like that is sort of a growing, not even I don't even want to call it a field or an industry, but like more and more people are interested or meditation, mindfulness. What can I do to help myself with all this stress that I feel as a modern human being? And there are a lot of, I've read a lot on this stuff, and there's a lot of people recommend don't watch the news. Like, you should be informed, like kind of like what you said, once a week. Like, you should know what's going on, try to get the information. But yeah, like that's probably hurting your psyche. And especially with this sort of like Armageddon sort of language that especially is on Twitter, you know, I think that there's I think that there's something I like remember talking about that Chinese like just apathy like was sort of like a movement, and like I feel like there's some of that to it too. Like, it's over, everything's fucking shit, burn it all down. You know, I do feel though personally I have outrage. Like, I'm still fucking furious about things that happen in our government, but like I don't know, it's weird how I've become sort of immune to the like visceral physical outrage effects to things that like Donald Trump does or something. You know,
but
like
that's what's kind of fun. You know what's like interesting? You know what I've been kind of like thinking about, and I guess it's probably related to news, so it is kind of funny thing about like frame it two ways to really get the full effect. But I feel like even the one really does a good job. But if you frame it both ways, you're like, fuck, I think that's true. Like, as just Donald Trump as the president, but also frame it as Donald Trump as a Republican president who's also has a Republican House and Senate. Is the country that crazy for the hysteria that people on the left had put upon this presidency? Like, this tax bill hasn't even passed yet.
They haven't gotten anything through this year.
So they haven't gotten anything done.
Well, just democracy can work.
And what happened? Steve Bannon, fucking evil genius, was like, let's ban like 2 Muslims and people will freak out, and then we could do some shady shit over here. And then people did it. But no Muslims really got banned.
Well,
it got overturned in like a month. He's out. People are talking about this Russian thing, but then it keeps coming out like, what was the Russian thing? Were they hacking booths? No, they were telling dummies what they wanted. They were feeding the dummies Cheetos, just intellectual Cheetos, and they just ate them up. And they took their dumb Mountain Dew brains over to the voting booth and went, what I thought anyways, click, clack, clock. You know what I mean? Which is like, it sucks. It sucks because people bought the toothpaste because they thought they would smooch. That's what happened this election. But it sucks. But it just reminded me that the electorate is as dumb as I ever thought it was. It didn't go like, Russia, Cold War Part 2. We need a new Rocky 4. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't freak me out. And so it's the same thing. Like, if you just look at facts, at what has happened in this country as far as legislation and moves and shakes and all, it's nothing. And the things that are something, it's like, sounds like what would happen with the Marco Rubio presidency, with the Ted Cruz presidency, Jeb Bush, like, started a fake war.
More
Since
of
we had
us
a
aren't
war,
paying attention.
since we had a war criminal in office, and we as a nation went like, that's fine.
Okay.
The country has not gotten the country has not gotten worse than that. You know, so I just don't know what when people are like, can you believe what this and like I think anyways, the last thing I'll say, I mean, tell me what you think about that. If you do think like, no, it is worse, it is crazy. And I'm not saying the outrage or the news coverage. I'm saying just how your life goes day to day. Based on how they sold it to you, is it worse? And especially put in the context of if we had any other Republican,
it could be like net neutrality. This tax if this tax code passes, like there are.
But again,
things
Ted
that are
Cruz would have put those guys in.
Yeah.
The Republican Senate would have okayed those laws. You know what I mean? Like, it's fucked up, but it's normal Republican fuck that we've had since George. I mean, George W. Like, net neutrality is fucked up. It's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll live. And we are still living, but you know what I'm more scared about? The Fourth Amendment rights that George W. Bush took away that we haven't gotten back yet. You know, those are the more the things I was like, fuck, I don't know if we'll survive this.
From the Patriot Act?
And we did, but I still think we live in a worse country because of it. I don't think we're going to live in a worse country because of the end of net neutrality. I think it's demonic, and I still think that pie guy should be dragged through the streets bloodied as a blood sacrifice to decency. But it's not the end of civilization, like some of those things in the Bush administration could be if people used them the wrong way.
What do you think? Why were we not paying such close attention during the Bush administration, or why do we not care? Was it because September 11th we felt unified?
I mean, to me, the scariest thing about the Bush administration was it was the start of what we're seeing with Trump on a social level, but Trump's too dumb to do it on a political level. I mean, George W. Bush was like, he's a Bush. I mean, he's been in this game since he was born. So I think as kind of soft-minded as he is, I think he's a smart tactician as a politician, and I think that was what's scary about it. The way Trump is continuing the trend of disregarding shame as a human being, like I'm gonna eat fried chicken, make fun of dumb people, you know, like make fun of mentally challenged people and eat fried chicken, and I'm gonna be president, and we all okay, you know, like the Bush did that. Like I just think every president before Bush was like, well, we can't lie to start a war.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, what would happen if
no, we lied to keep a war going. Hello,
yeah,
Vietnam.
I know. That was a good doc. But my point is like, I just think he took political no shame to a new level where it's like, well, what if I do it? And then like and then he did it and he stood back and the country was like,
oh, so you're saying level, but with like social
yeah,
or like just social decorum, basically.
Like right, like I did it and everyone was like, oh, it's okay. And I think that's the same thing with. It's not that we didn't care. I think people cared a lot. But I think they were like, you lied and got us into a war. And he's like, yeah, but I'm going to do 2 terms, so what are you going to do? And they're like, nothing. And that's what was the most scary about the Bush presidency is that he just did things where I'm like, oh, this would surely get someone not only impeached, but perhaps executed. These are war crimes. They should be brought up on trial at the UN. I mean, lying to get into a war, that's a war crime. And then come on, it's a war crime.
I know, I'm just
it's a war crime. He's a war criminal, and he paints now. He literally did a reverse Hitler. He's like, I'm going to commit war crimes, then I'm going to paint. He's a reverse Hitler. That's what George W. Bush is.
Guilt in those paintings.
That's my theory. That's how I know. I've brought that up before. That's how I know he did 9/11, because he paints now.
Yeah, I guess that's all. Yeah, good points, good stuff. I guess I feel like I just bought magazine subscriptions for the next year. I feel like I am leaning more toward long form pieces and narratives and like again, I know I've brought up that Vietnam times, but like it just having all of that information, I just feel like we're losing the nuance, right? And like nuance comes from the fact that there are a million sides to every story and all of them create the story, right? And like you can't form an opinion about something until you know at least some of it, like these one sentence tweets are not getting us anywhere. They just are causing us to like, I don't know, distracted like dogs on a bone. Like, so anyway, like I want to support journalism that investigates these issues or longer look at it. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to spend, and like time is just so valuable right now. And like I don't want to spend 3 hours of my morning reading. I mean, I got Tapo Chico and yoga to do. Like 3 hours to read nonsense 100-word
Let's face it, you're
articles.
not doing that. You're watching Vikings and jerking off.
No, 100-word articles about Twitter. I'm on to Jason Momoa. It's my new.
Same thing.
He's my
You
new.
just like big
I basically
savage
just
men.
I basically just superimposed Jason Momoa's face and body into the Viking show, and then like.
It seems.
Anyway, hey.
I think this is just society barreling down on me, but that seems racist.
Why?
I don't know. I think that's the SJWs that got to me because it
Why?
seems racist, but I
no,
can't point a
the
finger
only
at it.
reason I think that is because he's been on Frontier. He is now Aquaman. Like he plays these. I mean, Game of Thrones.
I said it. I
know.
I'd
you
admit.
are a hello PC police. Like,
I know.
Get
That's
out
they
of my,
got to me because I'm like,
out of my masturbatory bedroom.
I know. That's how they got to me. Is I'm like, that seems. Is that racist?
Is that racist?
Why am I even questioning
It is
if it
weird.
is?
We make the Hawaiian guy constantly wear the fake tribal tattoos, whatever role.
I thought those are real.
No.
Huh. That might be racist then. I don't know.
Yeah, you're a racist. But but does that make sense? Like I feel myself wanting more, and I feel like it's trickled into, and I don't think it's just me getting older. Because I was trying to think, is this like just getting older and not like, and like I don't know, being sober has affected a lot of different interests of mine, right? Like I don't give a shit about a lot that I used to because I just don't. I'm not in that scene. I don't have care. Like when you're sober, you basically, you're so lame. So you get to care about whatever you want to care about. Like no holds barred, no shame, right? But I think a lot of it too is just this everything feels so fast and like, overwhelmingly dire that like I want to learn like craftsmanship. I don't know, like skills.
Well, that's
of,
my
like,
point. Is like
everyone
everyone,
like the embroidery stuff, like things that
but that's
take
the whole
for fucking
point.
ever.
Is like everyone on fucking Freakonomics was like, I'm an engineer. I'm a fucking economist. I don't give a shit about
they
the
wanted
news.
to get
I'm working
in the
on
zone
other
on
shit.
something,
So,
like
yeah.
something in depth on something.
So that's
right?
why when I see, like my comic friends like just like a fucking joke about poop or something. Like if that's what you want to do with your life, be an artisan. And again, like what are you doing? You're sharing it. I mean, I don't.
There is like, I mean, I do that on Twitter. Like I share something and feel like I did something. It's like, no, you didn't. Like, you watch yourself. Like.
But okay, here's my point. Is like the same. That's kind of what. Just answer this, and we'll talk about this. We have to move on. This thing's running long. So, said like, do you think that I'll say like, by president considered, is the Trump president in power? So we're about a year in power. Is the country just unrecognizable to you?
No.
And so my point is, will that kind of? I just think people are so delusional that they would say like, yes, it's so different. But my point,
the feeling is different, but like this, no, but like this feeling is something that I feel like I will now translate even if we have a Democratic president next. Like this feeling of like, I need to look out for this stuff. Like, again, paying attention doesn't mean reading every headline. It means being aware of what's transgressing in the Capitol, right?
Yeah, but
like,
no, I'm saying the opposite. Now that we have literally the craziest president, we have like, I mean, this guy looks insane, talks insane. I mean, again, to me, of all the insults about him being orange and being whatever, I think those are just silly.
Whatever.
Because all these politicians are always ugly,
but
goofy
like,
guys.
does he have dementia?
But my point is, to me, the thing that always just makes me go,
like,
it's
you agree
reality
with
show host. Former reality show host. I don't care what people call him, orange or pussy grab.
Yeah.
I'm like, all these politicians I bet are rapey, and they're all gross looking. They're all too makeup. They're all vain. They're all narcissists. Most of them are rich. Most of those gains are from things that you'd be like, that seems fucked up. But at least none of them hosted a reality show. He had a catchphrase. We have a president that had a catchphrase.
I know.
That's the one that makes me go like, oh, Jesus, that is kind of embarrassing. But I will say this. I agree with you. The country is not, I don't recognize it. So my point is, I hope some people, let me just finish this real quick. I just hope some people would just go like, well, if we've had literally the craziest president we could imagine and the day-to-day of the country doesn't really move that much, maybe we could take that as a thing of like, all right, well, even under these extreme circumstances, I don't need to read the news every day. So maybe especially once this guy's gone in 3 years, maybe I should even more recognize that, like, I probably don't need to read the news every day. Because even under the quote-unquote most extreme of circumstances, it doesn't really affect me.
I guess I still read the news every day and think that that's important, but it should be quality news, and, like, we should support those things that are giving us other than, like, this feeling of, like, terror and, like, anger about our shitty president. But, like, I worry about it nationally, like what it does for our national and like global diplomacy, and just how that looks too. It's different when you're living in it to be like, yeah, but it like I see what change I can affect on my community level or just personally, but like if you're in a national, I mean like an international colleague of someone in the United States government, like doesn't that change your perception of this country? I don't know. That seems kind of dangerous. Or just it's gonna be different, and we're gonna have a lot to prove in 2020 on. Like, sorry guys, sorry, just blip. That was weird, right?
Yeah, I think stop reading the news, stop giving yourself an ulcer.
Yeah.
The demons are gonna run amok, and
Just enjoy your life. Okay.
there's no secular holy oil to cure it.
Let's move on.
And your vote doesn't matter. So,
Oh, jeez.
Venezuela.
I think that's racist.
Yeah, that was a little racist, but I'm allowed to. I'm allowed to be.
Because you're allowed to do it halfway.
That's halfway. Like, all right, here's what I
Hispanic.
can't do. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to do it, but this is what I can't do. But I'm doing it as an example.
Okay.
So don't take it out of context.
Okay.
Because this, I know this is bad, but I'm recognizing. I'm just like, it's like when you quote someone saying something. It's like they said it. So this is like just a quote of a hypothetical bad Justin. Hello, it's Mia from Venezuela. Race that I'd have to be full on Hispanic to do that.
You're pretty good at it.
But just to go like Venezuela, I'm allowed to do that.
You can, but I can't do it because I'm.
You have to say.
I'm all German.
You have to say Venezuela.
Venezuela, is that? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
If am I pronouncing that correctly is key. Good ad. You are a good white person.
Thank you. I'm a good white person. I'm woke.
Stamp of approval.
I'm a woke whitey.
You can't say whitey. That's our word. That's half my word. All right, so Venezuela is launching a new cryptocurrency backed by oil reserve, which I think is because we think of money is typically backed by gold or a precious metal, but oil is pretty valuable, and they have not a ton of it. They're probably like the weakest.
Gold.
They're probably like the weakest OPEC, but it ain't nothing. So cryptocurrency, just Google that and read about it. I'm not going to get into that topic 3 because we're clearly going away with this. So. But, I mean, the easiest way to describe it, elevator pitch, Bitcoin. That's cryptocurrency. It's basically like...
it's all online? It's like it's digital?
Digital isn't a component. It's just basically like... It's like a finite... I don't even know. I'm just going to sound like someone's already going to be screaming at the thing. Bitcoin is an example of a cryptocurrency.
Actually,
yeah. Bitcoin is an example of a cryptocurrency. It's just basically, I bet I can find like a sentence definition. So I don't sound like an idiot.
I mean, I think people generally know
All
what
right,
this is.
cryptocurrency. Oh, it's digital is part of it. Okay. This is just the Google dictionary definition. A digital currency in which encryption techniques are used to regulate the generation of units of currency and verify the transfer of funds, operating independently of a central bank. That was what I was trying to say. Like, it's decentralized. The transactions are done independently, but not in a centralized place like a bank. And then it's just like a ledger.
Okay.
So Bitcoin is the biggest one. So Venezuela is going to launch their own or wants to launch their own backed by oil reserves. And guess what it's called? Le Petro.
Le Petro.
No, you just say Petro.
Petro? Petro?
Am I saying that correctly?
It's Petro.
Exactly.
My favorite part was that he made this announcement. This is what the article
But
said.
you know what I can't say?
What?
Petrol.
Too much. Too much.
That's
You're
what
only
I
half.
can't say.
You're half.
Can't. But I go petrol.
And I can go, is it Petro? Is that right?
That's close enough.
I love that he announced this this is what I'm quoting this article. In his regular Sunday televised broadcast, a 5-hour showcase of Christmas songs and dancing.
Sounds like
5 hours? That sounds awful.
If you
I need to announce
take
war,
out,
just put some like show
well, I'll
tunes
just say
around it.
if you take, to me, I've always said, if you take out just the desolate poverty and authoritarian government, Venezuela seems like a cool
Pretty
country
cool.
to live in. So this is the fun topic. Research cryptocurrencies on your own. There's a cool documentary on Netflix about Bitcoins. But if you, Jackie Manti, you got a computer, right? It's easier to distribute music and books and anything easier than ever. How do you not know in 30 years you won't be able to just sign up for something like Twitter and create your cryptocurrency and just see how it does on the marketplace? Just like you can launch a without a major label. If you created a currency, what would you call it? And what would you want people to buy with it? Like, I think, you know, like Bitcoins can kind of be used for anything, but I think, again, we think of it as like safe online purchasing. Like when the Silk Road was a thing, you used Bitcoin. It was this kind of way. I would say Bitcoin specialized in anonymous purchases online. It can be used for more, but if I had to, again, elevator pitch, I'd say that. So what are you calling your currency, and what are you using it for? Mostly. It can be used for other things.
I do.
What would you hope would be the market for it?
I want paper, but like PURR. Internet cats.
What is an internet cat?
I don't know. Fucking, it's 30 years
wait,
from now.
Hold on. I saw that. Hold on. Keep talking. I'm going to search this thing.
And then my other one is obviously J Money.
Oh, J Money.
Yeah, J Money, and I want you to buy. It feels like I want you to buy weed that has now been legalized through online sales with J Money, and also journalism. It's journalism money.
Ugh.
Good journalism, weed and journalism money. That was my college experience.
I was just reading this.
J Money, isn't J Money good though? I feel like you weren't as excited as
I was paying attention, and I am excited. So it's J Money. You use it for weed and journalism.
Yeah, get it? J Money, J School, journalism money. Yeah, okay, you get it.
Get it? There's nothing to
get it.
You're literally just like
J Money, but it's also like my cool rap name if I were not white. Oh no, that's racist.
Ding ding ding. We got like a little alarm. Ding 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 ding. Racist.
It's like the lunk alarm at our gym, like at Planet
yeah.
Fitness. Is Jackie saying something offensive?
No. I don't know. I was reading this thing. It was this animal app where you buy like an animal and take care. It seemed like, what were those things?
Oh, like
Tamagotchis?
Shit. Yeah.
I thought, I don't want to speak out of turn because it was like when I was scrolling through topics, like news articles, I passed it, but I didn't read it. I just read like the blurb. And it was something like this. There was this app where you take care of kitties or animals or digital animals. And it was making like $1 billion or something ridiculous. Like it just, people were spending silly money on this thing. So when you said about pay per,
yeah, maybe they.
I was like, you could use it.
Send them my name.
Be like, I'd like to be the official currency of your app, your in-app purchases. I would like to be the official currency of that.
Yes, please, thank you.
I was thinking of something called Fancy Bucks, and you use it to buy cool coats.
Fancy Bucks.
That's kind of what I was thinking. That was my currency.
Is it BUCKS or BUX?
Ooh, I thought just BUCKS, but I like BUX. Fancy Bucks. Buy
or
cool coats with it. And you just buy cool coats with it. Yeah.
That's cool.
I think I would give like incentives. Like you can use it to buy anything, but you get like 2% cash back for any coat purchase with Fancy Bucks. Yeah, buy cool coats.
So you gotta develop it so when
to me I said
get online it's like an option.
To me people ask me what is it like to be in your 30s? You know, I do around some younger people be in your 30s.
Fancy
I'm like 30s, your 30s is all about getting coats that you look good in and wearing cool coats.
Well, I did just buy like 2 coats for this winter.
That's what your 30s is about.
I'm getting
having a
paper.
good Coke game. So
Yeah, Coke game.
fancy bucks
This, let me just tell you, the
for
low,
the 30-year-old that wants to look like one.
low class Coke game is strong.
Yeah, we're doing
Do you
well.
know who drinks Topo Chico? Cool bitches with fancy coats, bought with fancy bucks.
Yeah. All right. So that has been a feminist and comedian walk into a bar. As always, you can find more info at FemComPod. Like, subscribe. We didn't really do good plugs in the beginning, so
That's okay.
hopefully people stuck around. Like, subscribe, links to where you can find
Making
us
me
all
burp.
over the internet. But pretty much that's the best way to say it. We are all over the internet. Search us in whatever podcast app you use, and you'll find us. If not, go to femcompod.com. We got our RSS feed link. You just plop that in. Worst case scenario, you can get us that way too, or you can listen to past episodes and current episodes right on that site. It's the direct link to everything. But the link, everything is still lowclass.com. That's lo-class.com. And always, if you want some bonus episodes, we already got one release. We got more coming up in 2018 calendar year, which is less than a month away now. So get on that. $1 a month gets you access. Anything more than that gets you access plus merch. That's at patreon.com/loclass, no dash. So check that out too. Become a Patreon. We appreciate just your normal free more than you'll ever know. But that Buck fanship, that patronage is really awesome. I've been Justin Golek at justingolek.com is where you can find upcoming shows. I got some stuff coming up in December, which is nice. Closing out the year here in Chicago. Come see me locally. Then hopefully some road shows in the spring. And the way to find out about those the quickest is justingolek.com, at Justin Golek on Twitter, Justin at justingolek.com. Email, send me them dit pics. The veinier, the better. Maybe put a little Santa hat on it. Make it festive. Jackie Manty, JackieManty.com, at Jackie_Manty on Twitter, and Jackie at JackieManty.com. Send them tit pics. Hang low, sweet chariots.
If you want to buy me internet, also that is allowed.
Anything
Jackie at
specific you wanna plug?
JackieManty.com. Nope, that's it for now.
No specifics?
JackieManty.com, mildly depressed.
.com.
Follow me on Instagram. I got cool stuff up there.
At Jackie Manty.
Yep.
It's the only thing. The only thing with an underscore is Twitter, right?
Right.
Cool. You can tweet pics. You can tweet tit pics at her too, but I think those will probably get taken down.
Yeah. Just email me, babes.
Just email them.
All right.
Tits and dicks. Have a good week. I'll be back with.
What's that new trend? Oh, the thing where you like have a boob out and make your nipple Rudolph's nose. Like make it red.
That's called a thing?
Yeah, it's like a trend right now. I saw a BuzzFeed article on it, so it's real. Send me those guys, your Rudolph tit pics. Okay, Jackie, it's out.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.